Yeah, get on out the way. Another tune from Chawa here on WNCW, and it's another song that's on their new release, Spy Boy. We just got it here at WNCW, so you can guarantee we'll be playing it. Get on out the way. That one, looking at the liner notes, written by Peanut.
Yeah,
Who's
a
who's
spy boy.
who's that? Who's that?
He's another Mardi Gras Indian. He's a spy boy for the Black Feathers, Mardi Gras Indian tribe.
All right, the Black Feathers. All right,
Yeah,
cool. You're the Golden Eagles,
yeah.
right on, and
And I got Black Hatchet.
he's from the Black Hatchet.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Talking about Spug there on the sousaphone, Clifton Spug Smith. I haven't heard of the Black Hatchet Indian tribe. Smaller, not as not as out there as Golden Eagles, or what?
Well, don't be starting a war in here. Well, Nightwall Black Hatchet just was formed 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So we have about 30 Indians in our tribe.
Yeah.
Also with kids.
They're no joke.
Yeah. No
They're the
joke.
army.
They're an army. All right. Cool. Well, like we were saying before that song, when you say Chawa, you're announcing yourself, and it's all in, I don't know if good, clean fun's the right way to put it, but just like, hey, let's have some fun. Let's party. And we're bringing ours to show us what you got. And
And
so, the rising tide raises all boats. So you all,
Then after
rise
we
up
done,
together.
that's when you say, get on out the way like we just did.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. On the back there, I can't see him. He's hiding behind a board of ours here. But we have the drummer here, Joe Giolini. He's a founder. And if you're mic'd up and you can talk about this band Chawa, because you kind of helped found the band, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Back a few years ago, you went to Berkeley School of Music.
Yep. I graduated from Berklee College of Music, so that just meant that I didn't get a national touring gig good enough to quit school like everybody else did.
Yeah.
I had to wait to start my own band.
We all get through it find it through different paths, I guess. We've had a lot of folks from the Berklee College of Music come through here, and yeah, they all seem to get involved in such a different paths. Members of Lake Street Dive or members of some real kind of newgrass or bluegrass oriented acts. This might be the first one to have such a great New Orleans presence. And you, Joe, you're not from New Orleans, but you kind of got there as fast as you could, I guess, as they say.
Yeah. I'm a transplant, admitted transplant. But when I got to New Orleans for the first time, my dad took me down, and I was 18, and as soon as I touched the ground, I felt like I had lived there in another life or something like that. It just felt like home to me.
Yeah. That's a feeling that we often get. I'm glad to hear your story, Joe, because you all that are from there, this is the case with a lot of us. Way up here in the mountains of North Carolina and elsewhere around the country, there are a lot of people that really feel this strong bond with New Orleans, but we also may feel like we're far removed from it. It's but yet when we go there, it's like this feels familiar. This feels right. This feels the way cities should be.
Well, it's literally the cradle of American music.
Yep.
So everything started in New Orleans. The drum set started in New Orleans. Jazz music, ragtime, Mardi Gras Indian music, rock and roll. Some of the first rock and roll was recorded at J&M Studios by Cosmo Matassa. Brass bands, funk bands, bounce music. I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out, and then there's Western Louisiana that has Cajun and Zydeco, and it's really like, it's kind of a cliche to say that it's a gumbo, but it's a gumbo.
Yeah. I'm gonna say your statement again because it is not an overstatement. New Orleans is the cradle of American music. Now, folks might dispute it, debate it, and that's cool.
They're wrong.
But they're wrong. Okay, all right. I don't know. Just a few miles from here, Spindale is where Earl Scruggs is from, and Snuffy Jenkins. Anyone? Banjo great Snuffy Jenkins? No, they don't know him.
Well, I will say this, is that Congo Square.
Yeah.
Was the epicenter of where all these different tribes and people who were enslaved were able to practice their religious ceremonies on Sundays. And they all came and gathered in Congo Square. It was the only place in the country that allowed people that were enslaved to do that. And you know, all the slaves from the Caribbean and from Africa and from South America, they all congregated. I mean, the dark history about New Orleans is that it was the biggest slave port in the I think in the world, and you know, all those people came with all their joy and sorrow and all their dreams, and they came and they practiced, prayed to their, you know, their Holy Spirit or whatever it was, and in Congo Square, and all those things came about, you know, very organically. And if that happened anywhere earlier than that, you know, I guess that's probably up to an ethnomusicologist. But I think for all of us, New Orleans is the cradle of American music.
Yeah, it's a dark history, it's a tragic history, and it's also quite an inspiring, triumphant history when you think about it. The odds that you listed there, and then yet look what's risen up. This remarkably persistent, triumphant New Orleans culture from the events way back then through Katrina a few years ago, and look, it's still strong. And every once in a while, we get a taste of it here, way even in the mountains of western North Carolina, where Chawa is visiting us today live on WNCW, playing tonight at the Boone Saloon, and tomorrow at Founders After 5 in Johnson City, Tennessee. And Joe, thanks for sharing that. And I imagine you learned a lot of it at the Berklee College of Music, but you really learned it upon moving to New Orleans and falling in with these guys and learning the history more organically and firsthand.
The first gig that I ever got hired for in New Orleans, you know, I was like fresh out of Berklee, and I thought like I was some sort of hot shot. And the bass player comes up to me, goes, "Oh yeah, okay, so you're new to town?" I said, "Yeah, I just graduated from Berklee. You know, I'm so excited with myself." And he was like, "Cool, don't play any of that stuff on this gig." So, yeah, Berklee was an education, and I learned a lot about, you know, like music theory and a lot of different amazing lessons there. But New Orleans is the original school.
Yeah, for the real education. Cool. Chawa here live on WNCW. Let's hear another